Hello, this is Simon Jones from Antiques for Everyone. Today I've brought along a piece of Wemyss Pottery. Robert Heron and Sons owned a pottery in Fife in Scotland, and they started to develop some pottery that was patronised by a local family called the Wemyss family, a very wealthy landowner in Scotland. And so they patented this group of pottery called Wemyss ware, which became incredibly popular in the late 19th century, early 20th century. A lot of it was retailed through Thomas Goods in London, very well-known department store, upmarket department store. It gathered momentum and became very popular. I brought along one piece to show you today, which is slightly unusual. Now, most things that we see by Wemyss are painted with things like flowers and fruit. Cabbage roses are a very popular pattern with them. And in this case, we have cherries and leaves painted on the bowl. That's fairly typical of the sort of pottery and patterns that they would produce. One of the things they're most famous for are the pigs that they produce. They produced a whole range of models of pigs in different colours and sizes, and they became very famous and collectible for those. Now, I see a lot of Wemyss pottery come through the sale room, and a lot of it is much of a muchness. It all kind of looks quite similar. But this one particularly caught my eye the other day because it's slightly unusual. And if I just turn it round, you'll see why, because it's got an inscription, but the inscription is in French. Now, my French is a bit rusty, but the writing on here basically states that the more that I know of men, the more that I admire dogs. I can understand that sentiment. And this is actually a dog bowl. They produced a range of these dog bowls with different patterns, and I've seen a few of them come up in auction over the years, not many, and I don't think I've ever sold a dog bowl before. So you can see the French inscription there with the writing, typical hand-painted decoration, cherries and leaves all around the bowl. It's a fairly typical, but well painted and with a lot of character to it. The thing about Wemyss is it does craze quite easily. And if you look inside, and I'll also show you the base, you can see how it often crazes and discolours over time. And that's just the nature of the pottery that they were using. There's also an impress mark on the bottom for the Heron factory. It says Wemyss ware on the base. So a nice example, probably dating to the early 20th century, might have been sold through Thomas Good, although this one doesn't have a Thomas Good mark on the bottom, which sometimes you get on their pieces. But because this is slightly unusual, in auction, it's probably worth around 200 to 300 in auction, something in that sort of region. So it's a nice little collectible made by an interesting factory.